This afternoon, it's a clash all about change. Change on the park, change off the park, and a new direction for both the Blues and the Magpies. After 3 seasons without finals qualification, a new dawn seems to have appeared for the Charlestown City Blues on the eve of the 2018 season. With improved finances, new coach Dave Tancheski has brought in a host of new players, 9 to be precise, and the Blues started the year with a bang, defeating perennial finalists Hamilton Olympic in round 1. Much like Charlestown, it's been all change at Maitland in the off-season. They too have had a change in coach, with Michael Balch taking the reins. He's brought in 7 new players as they look to improve on a 2017 season which promised so much but delivered so little. 2 late goals against derby rivals Western drove the Magpies to a 2-1 victory, and they will look to continue their momentum this afternoon. So it's 2 sides with a lot to prove in 2018, going head-to-head on round 2 of the NPL Northern New South Wales as it continues this afternoon. CT, it should be a cracker.
Should be, Ben, but we've got a lot of speculation about these 2 sides that most people, or a lot of people, are expecting them to be there at the business end of the season. So this is going to be really important, how quickly and how organised they get themselves today to get a result.
Well, just run through the keys in both of the lineups this afternoon. For the visitors, the Maitland Magpies, they make 1 change to last weekend's side that defeated Western 2-1 at home. Chris Fayers. We may just double checking if we're having a minute silent, CT. Are we?
I'm not 100% sure, but what I do know is with the children out here, it's great to see all the mums and dads, family members with their cameras taking photographs, and it's a good community event when we have things like this happen that the clubs put on.
I'll go back into it. I wasn't sure whether we're going to have a pause there for a moment. Yeah, so 1 change from last week's side that beat Western 2-1 at home, and that's Chris Fayers. He's on the bench. Zach Thomas comes into the starting side. Matt Thompson, he's in the starting side, the former Jet skipper, beginning his 3rd season with the Magpies. James Thompson, as Matt Thompson's namesake, he's been given huge raps by coach Michael Balch, the former Bear and Jets youth man. And Alex Reid, he scored last week. He was Adamstown leading scorer last year and in 2016 with 8 goals, and he's going to look to continue his strong form in front of goal. The Charlestown City Blues, they're unchanged from the side that beat Hamilton Olympic 2-1 at Darling Street last Sunday night. Danny Ireland, he's one of 4 Blues players who played for Tancheski in the 2014 grand final in that win against Western. Kane Goodchild, he starts this afternoon. Last year's Golden Boot, or the Golden Boot of the last 2 seasons. He scored 14 last year and will look to open his account after playing provider last weekend in the Blues win. He didn't get on the score sheet, Kane Goodchild. And Matt Tull, this is his 11th year at the Charlestown City Blues, and he's hoping that this can be a successful one. The weather, CT, you always love the weather report. It's currently 32 degrees here at Whitebridge, and the wind 27 kilometres an hour from the northwest, humidity 38%, and the visibility at about 14.5 kilometres. Our referee for this afternoon is Glenn Peterkin, and I can tell you that his wife Tanya gave birth to their 2nd child 3 weeks ago, a young girl named Alyssa, and the wife of his brother Brad also gave birth to their 1st child on Thursday. Maybe something in the air in the Peterkin penthouse.
Just
CT.
very quickly before kick-off, Tanya in her own right has been a wonderful referee in Northern football and great on the lines as well.
So we're underway in the match of the round in round 2. It will be the visitors from right to left of screen in this first half. Charlestown, the home side, in their predominantly white kits from left to right. My question to you, CT, is can Charlestown's new look lineup make it 2 wins from 2?
Look, as I said, just mentioning before we started, there's a lot of people expecting that they can. This is going to be a real test for them because Charlestown appears that don't have anyone out other than Daniel Lehman. So other than Danny, they're at full strength. So we're going to see them as they are.
So we see Ryan Clark blaze his way down the right-hand flank, cuts it into the middle, and an early chance has been just blazed over the bar by Josh Dutton-Black.
You know, Dutton-Black, he will be very, very disappointed with that. He'd want that one again for sure because get something in the first 30 seconds would be a real dampener for the start of the game for Charlestown. So, look, that's a big opportunity missed there, and I'll hope that one doesn't come back to haunt them. Just out on the pitch, there's been some speculation whether the ground was going to be in form for use, but as of yesterday, the club was very unsure, and it's copped a ton of rain. So as of yesterday afternoon, the game was called on, and taking a lot of care about it. And this hot weather and the hot westerly wind has really helped dry it out.
Well, here is Kane Goodchild. I thought there was a handball there, and that has been awarded by Glenn Peterkin. The free kick going the way of Maitland, and Alex Reid is going to leave it for Matt Trott. Yeah, what a performance! What performances that Alex Reid has produced the last 2 years in an Adamstown side, which hasn't performed at its peak. He scored 8 goals last year and 8 the year before to be their leading scorer. He's now back at Maitland, where he was in 2015, and he scored 2 goals that year. He was playing primarily at the back, was Alex Reid, as he's trotting after this one towards the touchline. But
I know Alex Reid well on and off the park. He's a great footballer, and he's very dedicated. You know, look, he's got the ability to score goals, but the way he reads the game and positions himself, he finds himself playing at the back and doing a very, very good job for Maitland. But when he does go forward, he's just another extra attacking power.
Matt Trott will launch one up the ground. Now Daniel Miners. He's been with just about every club in northern New South Wales in the off-season. He finished last season with Valentine. He was at Magic, then he was at Toronto Stags as well, and he's ended up at Charlestown at the end of it all. Back at the club he was playing for in 2015 before he went to Edgeworth in 2016. Matt Tull rolls that one up the line for Kane Goodchild to run onto, and Alex Reid's there. That's going to be an interesting battle this afternoon between Alex Reid, he's very quick, and Kane Goodchild, the very strong, tall striker who's been the Golden Boot over the last 2 years.
Very different contrasting styles. Alex Reid, you saw him come in on that ball. He absolutely pounced on it, knew he could get there, and got a great tackle away, and that's where his strength is, read the game. Whereas you're exactly right about Goodchild. He can hold the ball, he can shuffle, and he can run at players. So he's a very, very difficult customer.
So the wind right behind this free kick, and Riley McNaughton, who was at Lambton last year, he curls that one in. Matt Trott got fingertips to it, and it's Carl Thornton who will run it away and win the free kick. Strong challenge there from Reen Ferguson.
But just on the lineups of these two teams, so typically Dave Tanch plays with a 4-4-2, and he's done so again today. Generally, as I've known him over the years and in different divisions, he plays with a reasonably flat 4-4-2, but we'll see how that one pans out because Maitland playing with what we're looking at 5 across the back, and Alex Reid is coming out as a sweeper. That's fairly obvious, and that's probably going to be really to counteract the Goodchild and Smith combination, so that puts an extra length of cover on for them. I guess what it does do also is it's going to force the left and right fullbacks for Maitland to really have to get into the game, and on a hot day it'll be interesting to see how that pans out because they've got a lot of work to do and it may tire them quickly. Great to see how the two contrasting styles are going to come together, and that we'll really see it in the second half unless the coaches change things up.
You can see Lubo Milicevic there at the back, the former Socceroo. Playing for Charlestown this year. He was in Melbourne last year with Dandenong City. They finished second in the NPL 2 in the Eastern Conference, just a spot below Dandenong Thunder, who in the end got promoted to the NPL 1 in Victoria. And they are in some serious trouble, Dandenong Thunder, at the moment in the top flight competition in Victoria. They've lost their opening 4 games and conceded 15, so those two had a strong rivalry last year, the Thunder and Dandenong City. While we are on Melbourne Victorian NPL, I should say, Brodie Taylor, he started with a bang. He scored 3 goals for Melbourne Knights in the opening 4 rounds, which is fantastic to see.
Well, it is. I mean, people talk about that competition being the strongest in the country of all of the state competitions, and it's great to see a player from this area, making such an impact. And you're talking about players like Lubo. It's just fantastic to have them in this competition as well and have some real personalities about it.
Well, here's Grant Brown. He just balked there as Tommy Smart came across to take possession back for the Blues. This ball through the legs and towards Goodchild, who without scoring last week, he was very impressive, setting up a couple of the Blues goals in that 3-2 win over Hamilton Olympic. Of course, Maitland scored 2 late goals after Jackson Burston opened the scoring for Western. Scored 2 late goals to win that one 2-1. An important result for Maitland as well, as they look to make it 2 from 2, as do the Blues this afternoon. This one chipped up the line for Scott Smith. Zach Thomas eagerly watching over the former Olympic marksman Scott Smith, and will be a throw going the way of the Blues. Of course, the coaches this afternoon, Dave Tancheski back at Charlestown this season. He won a championship with Lambton in 2014 before he left at the beginning of the 2016 pre-season. This long throw in. Thomas with the header away. And Liam Thornton got his boot through it. Up the ground where he almost found James Thompson. And here is a break for Swan. He plays it through for Ryan Clark. Back to James Thompson. Short of the hair he had last year. He had very long locks, James Thompson, the former Jets youth product in Western last year.
Tell you what, Bart, if Michael Bolch has been suspended last year for first 2 games, so he's outside of this ground, and by the way, tough suspension for him. But if he was inside the ground and he was able to see that, he would be very disappointed from that ball from Swan, because Clark was away, and that's 2 really good chances that Maitland have created, and maybe that's the contrast in styles that Bolch is trying to have effect.
I was just going to get onto that, CT. So on the Maitland bench this afternoon is Darryl McAllister, the former Thornton coach. He's on the bench for the 2nd week in a row. Of course, Michael Bolch serving that suspension for that incident at the end of the semi-final last year against Lambton. So he'll be back next week on the touchlines. And on Good Friday it will be, as Riley McNaughton weaves his way into the box. He gets bumped to ground. Glenn Peterkin says nothing doing there and awards the goal kick.
And also joined on the bench by Mark Trenter. So, I believe that he's holding the technical licence for the club. Just on Glenn Peterkin, we mentioned him earlier. He commented that Bar TV were on today, and he said he was going to go back inside and do his hair. I did note there wasn't much to do. Might want to put some block out on that big piece of Devon, but other than that...
Yeah, that's a good one, CT. What's it taken, about 10 minutes or so? I'm not going to class that as a clear-cut joke, but it's up there.
Well...
Here's Zach Thomas. Gee, that was acrobatic work to get the boot up and just knock it away from Goodchild, who was just talking to the assistant referee about a high foot from Thomas there. Here's McNaughton and Goodchild, still the 2 number 4s. Involved in a bit of a duel. McNaughton back to Matt Tull, his skipper. Now Kevin Davidson, who was at the Newcastle Suns last season, and he's back in the NPL after being with Lambton previous to that. Tommy Smart rolls one through the middle. He was with Lakes last year. Here's Carl Thornton again, looking long down the ground for the run of James Thompson. Milicevic for an early touch for Danny Ireland. Hasn't had too much to do in the opening 10 minutes, apart from that early chance that Josh Dutton-Black blazed over the bar.
But we're without Smudge today?
We are without Smudge. He's at a kids' party this afternoon. Probably suits him, I must say. Ryan Clark just can't keep that one in, CT.
Maybe at the Prince of Wales, you wouldn't know. Using the other as a decoy. I believe it's his daughter's friend's birthday at Oakdale Farm. So he's taking some annual leave today. But can you take annual leave when you don't get paid? But yeah, we'll call it that.
yeah. We'll pay that. We'll pay that. Here's Matt Thompson going across to Ryan Clark and just caught offside. the Maitland winger.
We were talking about Lubo before, next Socceroo. Well, there's another one right there, and Matt Thompson. And he has been an absolute rock for Maitland since he's come into this competition, and it's a pleasure to have him in this division playing like he does, and can't help but feel he'll be another really key player again this season for Maitland. And also today he'll be looking to run this game, and he'll manage his time, and by that I mean he won't run for the first 20 minutes, half an hour out of control. He'll just balance his time, so in the back end when there's 15, 20 minutes to go, he's still going to be as strong then as what he is now. So he'll manage that, and I'm expecting a real big game from him. He's barking instructions. He's really wanting to know. You can see it in his face.
And that's one of the best things about having these former Socceroos out there in Milicevic and Matt Thompson is the organisation they provide to both sides with their talk. And you see it with Daniel McBrain at Edgeworth as well.
Yeah, look, very quickly. You know, he's before he's got the ball, he knows where it's got to go. He's 2 and 3 moves in front all the time in his mind, so he's got time to direct everyone else and make sure everyone else is on the same page as him. And look, it works, and he's very, very good at it.
So here's McNaughton again on the free kick duty, and Carl Thornton was there to intercept with his head.
Great header away.
Charlestown via Milicevic will get play back underway. Goes to Matt Tull. Those earlier scores, the Charlestown City Blues won the under-20s 1-0. Maitland won the 18s 2-1 as McNaughton gets side down by Alex Reid, who's going to go into the book.
Yeah, look, Reid went straight underneath him there. With that sort of play, maybe unnecessary, but he just knows also the speed of Smith, and what it does do is sets them up in a position for a shot at goal here. And they're at that length where it's going to be far enough off the wall so they can get over it, but with some dip as well. So his key here is to get it over the top. This wind swirling from right to left as we're looking at it across the field. So he's a really good opportunity here for Charlestown.
Yeah, the Blues, they haven't beaten Maitland in 6 matches. That's dating back quite a while to 2011. That was in the first division. That's the last time they beat them. So they haven't beaten them since they were promoted. That was at the start of the 2016 season as McNaughton strikes it into the wall. Now Smith. Daniel Minus brings it under his control. Curls it to Goodchild at the back post, but it was just weighted a little too heavy.
Player we haven't spoken about is for Charlestown is Cameron Cellini. He's playing sort of in a right fullback in that 4 at the back, right to the roll. What I'm expecting for him, and I've seen it once or twice so far, but he's very, very good at playing balls through the channels, and by that meaning he'll be looking for Goodchild Smith just playing flat balls across the deck or into the front line, directly down the line or through a hole for the guys to run on, and his ability to pick people out like that. So we'll keep an eye on that as the game goes on, because he's a real threat, because it'll just come when you don't expect it.
Milicevic rises and knocks it up towards Carl Thornton. Here is Swan going back to Matt Trott in goals. Former Mariners keeper just slips over, and he's found a perfect pass in the end, straight to the feet of Ryan Clark, and now Grant Brown in the bright yellow boots tries to chip it forward. Now, a fascinating statistic, which if I have enough time to run through it I will, but James Thompson is in on goal for Maitland. The former Jets youth striker just goes straight at Danny Ireland in the end. What a moment that was for Maitland. They've had a couple of good opportunities already, and there may be another one here as this one whipped across the face. Again it sits up for Thompson. Milicevic does well, uses his body expertly and will chip it up the line. But what a chance that was for Maitland and James Thompson.
Yeah, and what a tackle from Milicevic there. So that's where his experience shows. He didn't give anything away and under a ton of pressure, but just made it look easy.
Yeah, so CT Maitland, they have never won their opening 2 matches in the top flight. Well, they haven't won it in at least 20 years. I went back, had a look at the stats, and I actually couldn't find a year before 1997. So from 1997, that's where I can find the database up to matches played. Here's Tommy Smart just on the ball to Goodchild, stepping. Still Kane Goodchild and Thompson. If you go pre-97, it doesn't actually tell you the results of individual matches. So I went back, had a look. Maitland have never won their first 2 matches in the top flight in at least 20 years. Now, this was really fascinating. In 2000, they beat Western 2-1 in round 1, same score as this year. In round 2, they drew with Charlestown, who were then called, as we know, Highfields Azuri. And they drew with Charlestown 1-1 here at Lyle Carr Oval. Surely Lightning couldn't strike twice, CT. Surely not.
You wouldn't think so. Well, I've picked and tipped Maitland for this game. And again, if Michael Bolch was inside the ground, which he's not, he would be reasonably happy with a start. But, you know, when you've got players like Ferguson, Smith, Goodchild in attack, and then, as I mentioned before, you've got players out that can play out of the back, like Smart and Cellini in particular on right and left, they've definitely got some strength. Tully, I mean, you could mention the whole side here.
Here is Tom Smart. Playing and running, and Smart gets in front of Andrew Swan. Just moves him over towards the sideline. I should say Matt Swan. Andrew Swan out injured this afternoon. It's much easier when they're both playing because you just say Swan.
Was it 7 Swan and 9 Swan last year?
So it's Daniel Miners. Curling. This is going to be tough for Trot, and somehow it hasn't curled its way inside the back post. Incredible, CT.
He was hitting that ball directly into the wind, and it just got some curl and dip on it.
And it's with that angle. The wind's probably coming left to right, maybe not quite straight left to right, probably from the bottom left of your screen to the top right, I would say.
Yeah, as it is a northwesterly wind, and it's just helped curl that ball. Good opportunity there for Charlestown.
Riley McNaughton. And then Ryan Clark with a neat flick on. Josh Dutton-Black was after it. But Charlestown just diffuse the situation. Goodchild holds it up in front of Thornton. Now the skipper.
Look at the run from Goodchild. And that's the ball we were talking about before, exactly that one.
Yeah, there's the ball from Cellini. Goodchild was trying to go back over to this near side and find Riley McNaughton, who would have made a beeline for the byline, you sense. Trying to whip one back as Daniel Miners now. Cellini.
Again, Cellini happy to just roll it in, let Goodchild hold the ball up.
And McNaughton whips this one towards Reen Ferguson at the back post. Ferguson, one of just 3 Charlestown first-team players last year who you would have said would be in Charlestown's first 11. He's just one of 3 that still remains in the first 11 this year. Matt Tull's the other one, and Cameron Cellini.
Look, I love the simplicity of that play. That ball from Cellini into Goodchild. He does his bit. He holds him up. He stays strong. We know he can do that. Gets the ball off into McNaughton, and then all of a sudden, from nothing at the back, we've got a ball into the box and a good one with a good opportunity on goal. And that's where, you know, if they're going to get the job done, play like that that's simple and it's effective, and they're using the right players to do the right jobs. That's where Tanchevsky is going to get things right for Charlestown this year.
Ferguson with the flick on. Nicely laid off by Smith towards Goodchild. Of course, those two, a lethal combination together when they played at Charlestown. Their last season together at Charlestown was 2014. Before Goodchild defected to Hamilton Olympic CT. And then Scott Smith went to Olympic last year for a season. There's a lot of drama about that because I remember it distinctly because it was the first season that I was coming into to call the NPL, and I remember all the off-season drama about this bloke called Kane Goodchild moving from Charlestown to Olympic. So we see a corner. going the way of the Blues. They're just building a bit of pressure here, aren't they, CT?
Well, they are, and they're penetrating deep into the territory of Maitland, and Maitland now, they're using the full force of the defence that Bolt's put into play.
Miners, uprises Scott Smith again. And it's gone straight over the byline, just couldn't direct it on goal.
Looks like, Bart, we're being joined by some of the Charlestown juniors right here next to us.
Yeah, good to see the junior boys coming to support the first team lineup.
They're out before the start of the game, walking the players out. It's great to see.
Here's Milicevic. Played in Australia in the A-League with the Jets, of course, and Melbourne Victory. Had some time at Perth. He didn't actually play an A-League game. That's turned over by Matt Trott. Poor ball, and here is Goodchild almost wriggling away from Carl Thornton. Matt Thompson now. Here's Matt Swan going to ground. Taken quickly by Thompson. Just thought he'd overhit it, but Dutton Black was able to recover and then chip it forward to Ryan Clark and Danny Ireland, who's back playing some NPL football after being out for the majority of last season at Hamilton Olympic with illness.
But it appears that I've got most of the Charlestown under nines. How are you, boys?
Good.
Listen, tell me this. Why do bees have sticky hair?
How do I know? Because they use honey.
Because they've got honeycombs.
Oh, so cool.
There we go.
I think the boys
Good to
are
see you,
loving that
boys.
one,
Go, high
CT.
five.
Now, just on the park, CT's giving these boys a high five. It doesn't look great for James Thompson, who is down on his back and looks as though it may be a lower leg problem as both sides take the opportunity to have a quick drink. It is up over 30 degrees this afternoon. This would be terrible for Maitland if that to make an early change. I'm just having a look at their bench who they would bring on. They've got James Tassel on the bench. They've got Luke Jennings, the backup goalkeeper. He won't be coming on. Chris Fayes, the midfielder, and Matt Comerford there too. So you would think potentially Matt Comerford would come on for James Thompson, who is limping quite heavily off the ground.
Well, you would think so. I mean, Comerford is a genuine out-and-out attacker and may require a shuffle. We'll see how that one pans out in a moment. But it would be a blow if they've got to make an early substitution.
So James Thompson just going under the roof of the Maitland bench for the moment to get some treatment. We'll see if he does return. I assume he'll come back on, just see if he can run it out, and if he can't, then you sense it will be a change, and Matt Comerford come onto the park, CT, as we see Swan with the throw.
Well, as Smudge always points out, if he's putting weight through his step, it's a good sign. Let's see how he travels.
So you don't have to be a physio, do you, to be able to make that assessment, CT? He makes it sound so technical.
That's that ball from Cellini again.
Kane Goodchild. And he's passed back to Cellini, was read by Dutton Black, and now here's Matt Thompson going forward. Ryan Clark with that great turn of speed. And Dutton Black back to Ryan Clark. He's got Matt Thompson in the middle. He weaves away from Milicevic. Clark. And there's no one waiting at the back post apart from Scott Smith, who rolls one forward towards Reen Ferguson. And Maitland, just as things look to build up for them, they've turned it over again to Scott Smith. And here's Tom Smart. And Daniel Miners back on the ball. surging through the middle of the ground is Scott Smith. Weaves away from Reed and gets pulled to ground.
The Charlestown junior under-9s are growing in numbers around us, Bart.
They're swarming us.
They're like the bees of that honeycomb.
So it's going to be Riley McNaughton with the free kick again. Just having a quick chat to Reen Ferguson. Ferguson, of course, the leading scorer for the Blues last year. Scored 11, just 3 away from Kane Goodchild and the Golden Boot. He scored 14, which was impressive in a side that only scored 25. McNaughton looking to add to the Charlestown goals this year. It's hit the apex and gone up and over. Great opportunity for Charlestown. They've had the better of the opportunities probably in the last 10 minutes. I know Ryan Clark caused some headaches a minute ago. And there was no one in the middle to really create the opportunity. As here's Matt Tull. McNaughton chipping and chasing. Dutton Black is across and gets brought to ground. Liam Thornton looking to take it quickly. But Matt Thompson has other ideas. He'll just slow things down for the moment as we near the final quarter hour of this opening half. It's still 0-0 at Lylecar Oval. This afternoon in Charlestown, it's round 2 of the NPL in northern New South Wales. Two sides who missed the finals last year with vastly different rosters in 2018. Ryan Clark just misguides that pass. Holding up the ball is Ferguson. We know how strong he is on that left boot. Got great strength. He's able to whip that one in, but again, no one in the middle to put the Maitland keeper under pressure. Here is Lubo Milicevic at the back for Charlestown. Along the turf from Salini to Smart. Look to work it out from the back as Ferguson just couldn't get the pass up towards Kane Goodchild. And here is Dutton Black racing away from Tull, and he gets brought to ground. The free kick will go the way of Maitland in a promising position, and probably the best position they've had from the free kick this afternoon. Now, I distinctly remember Matt Thompson scoring a late free kick against Charlestown a couple of seasons ago, in about the 90th minute up at Cook Square Park to level that one up at 1-1. He'll look to do so again. Not as late in the match, but it'll be a decisive goal.
Well, I mean, if you've got a set move, this is probably the region you played in, but knowing Matt Thompson, he's going to look straight for goal here, knowing that the wind's got a swirling nature about it at this field with the strength of the right to left. So here he goes.
So here is Matt Thompson, takes it on, and Danny Ireland has to palm it up and over the bar.
Look, the right sort of pace and the right idea. He was holding his hands in his face because he wanted that probably further towards the top left-hand corner. All in all, a good strike, but it just wasn't strong enough to trouble Ireland.
So Dutton Black in again. It's a bit scrappy in the box, but Charlestown, they get it away in the end. A Goodchild. He's copped a little bump from his former teammate Matt Swan. James Thompson looks to be all right for Maitland, which is a good sign for them. Danny Ireland along the tarmac to Tom Smart. Miners. Smart again to Ferguson. Here's Matt Swan. Always gives 110%. There's Matt Swan. Here's Thompson. Burnt away from Miners fairly easily. Still going Thompson. We know he can strike them. Just couldn't quite get that one off the tarmac. Here is Ryan Clark trying to weave his way into the box. Thompson, he may have another chance. Clark's gone down in the box. There's a lot happening there, but Glenn Peterkin has waved away the penalty appeals. Danny Ireland, with the wind at his back, will look to pilot it downfield. He's got plenty of mileage on that. Milicevic stepped away from Swan, but his touch was a little too heavy. And in the end, they've won it back, the Blues. Alex Reid.
Oh.
And he was just hearing the footsteps, you sense there, of Milicevic. And he's played it straight to the Club Azzurri sign.
Well,
on the goals.
He didn't mean to do that. When he's gone to knock it back to his keeper, he's knocked it, but it's just bumped his other foot in the stride, which is unusual. If we had a replay, you could have a look at that, but it wasn't where it was meant to go.
So it will be Daniel Miners. This one goes low. This time goes low. McNaughton takes the aerial route this time, and Carl Thornton has been a metronome at the back with those headers, as he always is. We shouldn't be surprised. He's one of the most underrated players in the competition. So take Carl Thornton.
Yeah, his strength at the back is something that's going to be a success for Maitland, and has been in previous years with Western, etc. And look, his aerial strength, but not only that, his understanding of the play, his ability to play the ball, and he's a great leader, strong tackler, and he involves himself pretty much throughout the park. So he's pretty much the full package.
That trot down the middle of the park. Swan. Here is Scott Smith. To Ferguson, who chips it up and over the top for Kane Goodchild. Trot just bangs one down the middle of the park, and Tom Smart, he's been busy, Tom Smart, early on. That left back, here's Lubo Milicevic.
We haven't seen many balls chipped in over the top. They've mainly gone through in a channel or straight to feet with Smith and Goodchild, so it's got a clever little ball in as well.
Here's Miners, weaving his way towards the top of the box. Still Miners, scored once last year against Maitland for the Valentine Phoenix. It was a superb strike. He just scored the 2 goals last year, did Miners. Nice turn away from Thornton. And now Milicevic just hoofs one into the middle. Ferguson couldn't crane his head to reach the ball. But Maitland are pegged back inside the defensive third here. Smart whips it in again. May sit for McNaughton. Still McNaughton on his left. Well blocked by Reid. The follow-up from Riley McNaughton. He's thumped it home, and the home side lead by a goal to 0.
What an effort that was. He really was looking dangerous those few minutes beforehand as well. That finish there just fell to him nicely in the end, and what a strike on goal that was.
It was thunderous. It really took Matt Trott by surprise after the initial strike was blocked by Alex Reid. He's quickly back onto his left.
Well, you just saw in the replay there, that left trot with absolutely no chance whatsoever. Well, they've just sent a message out to the competition with that play right there, that their attack is something that's going to be troublesome for other clubs this year. They haven't got 2 just up front. They've got plenty.
And that was their issue last year. They scored just 25 goals in the 20 matches played, Charlestown. Already this season, they've got 4 goals in 2 matches. So averaging 2 goals a game. But Maitland, they're not out of this one by any stretch. They've had some good opportunities. Just haven't had the polish they would have liked. Here's Thompson. Twinkle toes and looks to thread it through. Little flick on from Smith, and Thompson to Reid. Zach Thomas. Matt Thompson thought he was going to play a 1-2 there with Swan, but just players not on the same wavelength there, CT, for Maitland. They're just having a few issues the last 5-10 minutes as Charlestown get themselves on top in this one. Good shot. They've got to be careful here. He's turned and struck that one low and straight to Matt Trott. No issues for him there, but just the chances starting to mount up now.
Look, there's no panic there from Maitland at all. That ball from Reed into Matt Thompson was very calm. Thompson played a great ball into Swanee. He just misjudged it and hit it out. You'll see Maitland, they'll settle into this game, and as I said earlier in the game, Matt Thompson for me will figure in the last 20.
So he's Salini. Him and Smart have switched sides. Smart at left back for most of this first half, but Salini's dropped back over there and Smart to right back. This one through Clark and Danny Ireland. I don't know if he has been clipped there by Ryan Clark. Peterkin has awarded the free kick. Lubo Milicevic just having a word to the assistant referee.
Just having another look at it now, Bart.
We'll peer into your phone to have a little bit of a look. Less than 10 to go in this first half.
To be honest, I didn't see anything from Clark that was untoward, and he's got every right to go for goal.
Kevin Davidson has to get on his bike to get across, just thwart Ryan Clark there, and he did enough to give Charlestown time to reset. Thompson, a couple of chances early for James Thompson. Couldn't take advantage of them, and Charlestown now in front. Brown to Dustin Black. Back for Grant Brown. Curls it to a vacant area beyond the back post. Now Scott Smith on the turn and Zach Thomas is able to just get in there and win the throw for the Magpies. Here's Smart. Scott Smith scored twice last week in the win against Olympic. Tom Smart back towards Smith and Zach Thomas. He was quick enough to get back. That's why he is in the side. He was off the bench. Was on the bench last week. Brought into the starting side. That pace, it's very important in that foot race with Scott Smith and Kane Goodchild as well, who are both quicker than what they look, aren't they, CT?
They are perfectly timed run there from Smart and released in perfection by Goodchild, and that's where they're dangerous, running forward in numbers.
Here's Miners. And McNaughton tried to guide that one towards goal, but didn't quite have the accuracy you would have desired. Grant Brown back to Swan and Clark after this one. He just can't keep it in again, Ryan Clark. Scored 5 goals last year, 3 the previous year in 2016 when he arrived at the club. But hampered by that suspension and injuries last year, Ryan Clark. Here is Thompson. Nice ball through. Here's Ferguson onto Smith and McNaughton. Just blazes this one down the middle, and Kane Goodchild, he is onside. He hasn't scored this year, and he still remains goalless. Kane Goodchild, you'd normally expect him to eat those up for breakfast, CT.
95% of the time they go in, and that's why he's still there looking up in the sky wondering how did he miss that. That's where he's at his most dangerous. I was totally expecting the back of the net to lift, and I think so was he, and it was probably in before it was hit. have to say that, yeah, he'll be thinking he could put his side up 2-0 before half-time, and being the player that he is, he'll shrug that off pretty quickly and get on with the next one.
This one whipped in by Brown. Clark was waiting there at the back post, as was Dutton Black. Surging through the middle of the ground is Tull. And now Tull gets clipped down off the ball. Here is Smith. It's a bullet. And Matt Trott takes it nicely. Long throw towards Grant Brown. Now Miners. It was expected that Grant Brown had signed for Charlestown at the beginning of the season, but late move to Maitland. Did, of course, play under Michael Bolch last year at Hamilton and played with Dave Towncheski at Charlestown previous to that. So a connection with both the coaches. This good try, looks to hold off Zach Thomas. Thornton. Had a Swan. Davidson putting some pressure on him. Now Daniel Miners looks to move forward for the Blues. And the free kick goes his way. As Matt Swan came across. Free kick taken quickly. Matt Trott showing his skills with the chest. He brings that one down neatly. And this one almost turned over by Alex Reid, but Matt Trott is quickly up there to clear the ball up the ground. It may fall nicely here for Maitland, and an opportunity for Matt Thompson to strike. And Danny Ireland showing why he was the premier goalkeeper in the competition back in 2016.
That's a super strike from Thompson. That was goal bound, and absolutely Ireland.
Here's another chance.
Full stretch to keep that out.
Here is Matt Swan. Yeah, the premier goalkeeper mantle was taken over last year by Nate Cavalieri from Edgeworth, with Danny Ireland out for much of the year. Thornton straight to Dutton Black. A golden chance there as it sat for him in the middle of the box. Clark just couldn't control the ball. And here's Grant Brown chipping it towards the back post, and Liam Thornton scored 3 goals last year, Liam Thornton, and just couldn't add to his account there as that one faded deep past the back post. Inside the last 60 seconds of the opening half, CT. It's been very much an arm wrestle, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I think one of the features for Charlestown for me have been the balls that they're rolling in on the ground through the decks, bypassing the midfield a lot of the time into the strikers and runners for the front players at Charlestown. I'm not talking about just the immediate two. I'm talking about the left and right midfielders as well.
Matt Thompson sees Grant Brown, who just dinks it forward. There's Dutton Black trying to play back to Brown. They've turned it over. And is there a late chance for Charlestown before the break as Peterkin plays advantage? And Matt Thompson was out quickly to intervene, and it was an important intervention as well. Grant Brown turns Reen Ferguson around quite easily. Ferguson returns and did dispossess Brown momentarily. But it's back with the Magpies and Carl Thornton, the skipper. Grant Brown, this time Ferguson chops him down. was trying to do there, CT. I think that was just a little bit of inexperience. Fatigue just before the break.
One thing about Maitland is that the experience that they've got on the side and the way that they're set up, and I know that the way that they're coached, they're going to be there at the back end of the game. So, you know, the 1-0 scoreline I don't think would worry Bolch too much if he was in the park, which he's not. But if he was, it wouldn't bother him too much. And they'll go in and they'll reassess where they're up to at half-time and just work out how they're going to stop some of those balls that are sliding in beyond their defence. And that's probably the main key at the moment.
Ryan Clark with the nod on to Miners now. Now Salini is back over on the right now. And McNaughton, will he get there in front of Thomas? I don't think he will. Youngster just had too much speed. It's Miners and Thompson shoulder to shoulder, and Matt Thompson wins the ball for Maitland.
Just showing his experience for any children watching that. He's got his body in the right position and held off the shrug of Miners, and now his team's got the ball. That's just experience. Look, this is what they need more of, a bit more possession, and I think that you know, that may be a key point to discuss at half-time.
Reid up towards Clark. Plays a 1-2 with Dutton Black. Still Ryan Clark, and just couldn't find a way through the space. Charlestown blocking off the lanes for him. And it's McNaughton again over the top for Goodchild, and Carl Thornton was able to roll it over towards the sideline, but the danger still present. We're into stoppage time in this first half. Peterkin is going to finish it on that note, and it will be Charlestown who head to the sheds with a 1-0 advantage. And they look set currently to break that 6-game winless run against the Magpies. Magpies have also won their last 2 here at Lyle Carr Oval against the Blues and are unbeaten in the last 3. So Maitland, they've got a bit of work to do in the second half. Half-time here at Lyle Carr Oval. And it is the Charlestown City Blues 1, leading the Maitland Magpies 0. CT, how do you sum up that first 45 minutes?
Well, we've got 2 contrasting patterns that are being used. A flat 4-4-2, which hasn't really looked flat to me. Unlike Tanchevsky, seems to have a bit more forward out of his left and right midfielders. And then we've got Maitland playing with a 5 at the back, a 5-2 effectively, and 3 up front. This is really interesting, the way that this balances out. What's happened specifically is these balls that are coming through, particularly from the back line, from Smart and from Salini in particular, sliding straight through to the front runners, and not just Smith and Goodchild, but whoever else is there, is causing problems. And having Alex Reid effectively as a sweeper, he was early on picking them up, but as the game's progressed, they've found holes, and those holes should be concerning for Maitland, and they need to clog that up. They do that. As I said before, in the second half, they'll be around in the back end, but they do need to fix that problem.
Well, we'll take a 10-minute break, CT, over half-time, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. It's Charlestown, courtesy of O'Reilly McNaughton left-footed strike, who lead Maitland by a 1-0. So we're just about to get back underway in the second half here in the NPL Northern New South Wales. It's round 2. The Charlestown City Blues at home to the Maitland Magpies. And it's Charlestown in their white kit with the blue sleeves and blue socks from right to left of screen. And they get us underway in their second half. And Daniel Miners just chipping it forward and looking for Riley McNaughton, who scored his first goal of the campaign, his first goal in a couple of seasons in the first half to lead Charlestown into the front. His throw is long, looking for Scott Smith. Trickles down towards the byline, and it will be an early corner for the Blues. We've had the better of the chances probably since the halfway mark of that opening half. Daniel Minus. Over to take the corner kick. Whips this one in. The back post waiting there was Reen Ferguson. He's almost able to scramble it towards goal, but it will be the free kick going the way of the Magpies. Grant Brown just brought to ground. Free kick, long and straight down to Lubo Milicevic. Now Tom Smart. Alex Reid quickly onto the turn, and that Trot will control the ball just inside his 18-yard box, chipping forward and trying to find James Thompson, who recovered from that injury sustained early on in the opening half, as Danny Ireland just is unable to clear the ball up the ground. It slices off the side of his boot and over the sideline. Just inviting a little bit of pressure here from the Magpies. It's Matt Thompson to Chris Fayes, who's come on at the half-time interval. He's replaced Matt Swan, who's, I should say, just get that confirmed, CT. Liam Thornton, it is. It is Liam Thornton. No, it isn't. Maybe I can get it third time.
What I can tell you, Bart, is that...
Hang on, it's Zach Thomas who's left the park. Zach Thomas, he was playing at centre-back, so Michael Bolch has moved Carl Thornton from the midfield back into the right centre-back position that Zach Thomas was sitting in the opening half, and Chris Fayes has moved into the midfield where Carl Thornton was playing.
Yeah, so effectively that's changed them from a 5 at the back, 2 and a 3 to a 4-3-3. I think that's...
So a more attacking move, obviously. Playing 5 at the back in the first half, Daryl McAllister has decided that they're going to go towards a more attacking formation.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, where the direction comes from, you know, that's the change that's been made, and I wouldn't mind betting that Michael Bolch would strongly support that.
Well, here's Smith and Matt Thompson just involved in a little bit of a scuffle, a bit of feeling, and Swan getting across there as well to make sure everyone just calms down a little bit. Throwing water on the Flames for the moment.
Look, and for Charlestown, they're not changing too much at all. One of the key points from Tancheski is that they see the attack of Maitland as a real threat. That's of course the front runners he's talking about. But he singled out Matt Thompson. He wants him marked closely, wants him looked after, and to keep him off the ball as much as possible. He's seeing him as the key player. We talked about Matt Thompson earlier in the game. His ability at the back end with the way he's going to manage his time throughout the pitch, especially on a hot day. So managing your time means not running your legs out ragged. He'll be there physically and mentally when it matters at key points when everyone's fatiguing. That's why Tancheski wants him marked up. He knows that he's going to be capable of that.
Here is James Thompson curling this one towards Chris Fayers. He's come off the bench but just couldn't control that one. One issue Charlestown have had against Maitland in years gone by in those last 6 matches where they haven't won is they've only scored 4 goals in their last 6 matches against the Magpies, an average of less than 1 goal a game. They've never scored twice in their last 6 meetings with Maitland, the Blues. They really have struggled in front of goal. Their last win in 2011, they won 5-1. They had no issues that day, but since then, just 4 goals in 6 matches. They scored 5 in 1, and since then 4 goals in 6 games. Is the throw from Cellini. Swan, just a bit of relief from the sun for the moment for the players. Going behind the clouds. A little bit of cloud cover here at Charlestown. Ryan Clark moves away from Tull, and now Thornton threading it down the line for Swan. That's Swan back to Reid. Now Fayers intercepted by Reen Ferguson, who sees Kane Goodchild with a lot of territory in front of him down the right flank. Kane Goodchild looks to exploit it. Plays it to his strike partner, Scott Smith, who finds Ferguson, who blasts it, but it's straight to Matt Trott, who was able to block it away. And now Carl Thornton takes on Reen Ferguson. Was able to weave around him and then win the free kick. You can see what Reen Ferguson thinks of that decision.
Well, no complaints from me with a free kick there. I think that Thornton was clearly on the ball and taken away from it. Look, I think we were talking before. We were talking about these balls in from Charlestown being played into the feet, Goodchild, Smith, and attacking midfielders when they're coming through. That's still key, and that was what's hurting them. So, it'll be interesting to see how prominent they are continuing on with that.
Here's Dutton Black now to Ryan Clark, trying to get free on that right boot. Chris Fayers tried to use the outside of his boot with that pass wide to Swan. It was read by Ferguson. And now Scott Smith goes low and direct to Goodchild. Fayers with a boot in, and now Swan with the outside of his boot to James Thompson. 3rd time lucky, is it? Well, it won't be for Thompson. It will be for Ryan Clark, who levels it all up this afternoon at Charlestown.
Well, there's a threat that Tanchaski was talking about. He was talking about the firepower of Maitland, and they've come through there. And this is the important thing for young players watching. It's not just a strike on goal. You can see it was dropped, parried back out, and there was Clark on hand to tap it in. And now we can see game on.
And Ryan Clark and Matt Thompson in the post-celebration holding hands there as well. We know they're good mates.
Well, they work together as well.
And bad news for Charlestown. What's that, CT?
They wouldn't care. The ball's in the back of the net.
No, I'm sure they're having a little bit of we know the celebration from Ryan Clark. There would be something behind that. They were coming up with all kinds of interesting celebrations last year, the Magpies, so not good for Reen Ferguson. But initially, a great save from Danny Ireland to deny James Thompson, who, while he didn't strike it as well as he would have liked, he struck it towards the corner. It was a difficult save because Ireland had to go low. He couldn't claim the ball, and then Ryan Clark just finished it off.
Absolutely, and they're the types of strikes that are likely to be parried back out or be spilt. And Clark, he's always going to be in and around it to pounce on it, and it's exactly what he's done. He read it, he read the drop, and he's just on hand to tap it away.
Now, just at the other grounds, you can catch them on the Bar TV Sports YouTube channel if you would like. I can tell you that at half-time, the Jets Youth led Valentine 1-0, Western led Lakes 1-0, it was 1-0 here, and Lambton led Magic 1-0. So it was 1-0 everywhere. We do have a second goal here, obviously. Ryan Clark slotting that one away. And I remind you that the last time Maitland had a chance to make it 2 from 2 from their opening 2 rounds. They have not won their opening 2 matches in the NPL Northern New South Wales since at least 1996 as we get back underway. They had an opportunity to do it in 2000. They beat Western 2-1 in round 1. In round 2, they came up here to Lyle Oval and they drew 1-1. Surely it couldn't happen again as Matt Trott comes out to claim the ball. I don't want it to happen, CT, because I'd like a few more goals. It's a match which has delivered a lot. It's been an entertaining spectacle, an arm wrestle in the first half, but some chances on offer for both sides.
Absolutely, Bart. And there's a couple of other things that are in play for us too that we haven't spoken about yet. Is the Harry Schnitzel Play of the Day. For those that aren't familiar with it, it's something that can happen on the park or off the park. It's not our man of the match. It's just something special.
Well, CT, Dutton Black just released down the left edge. Still going Dutton Black across the face. And the momentum has clearly swung, hasn't it, the way of the visitors?
Well, you just wonder that change from Bulch or wherever it's come from, the change to a 4-3-3. You can see the system. It wasn't kind of happening the way they wanted to with those through balls that were happening from Charlestown. A change has been made, and whether it's a thing that's helped them with their confidence or not, that positional play is helping them out at the moment. And they've clearly, as you say, they've got momentum.
So Dutton Black with the wind, and Island's there with the punch, but he is off his line. And Reid threads it wide to Swan. It will fall back for Alex Reid. Knows how to find the back of the net, does a Maitland defender. Free kick given away. And Charlestown have made a change as well. Callan Lewis has come onto the park. Former Cookshill striker. Scored 15 goals in the New FM First Division last year. New FM Northern League 1, I should say. And it is Kevin Davidson who has made way.
Just got to make a quick note regarding our cameraman Ben here, Bart, doing a terrific job on his own. Limited resources providing us with these replays that we're looking through at via a telephone.
He's doing a superb job.
As always.
Now that change, just onto that change by Charlestown as we see Matt Tull flow forward, threads it through for Goodchild.
Really?
That is one of the tackles of the match from Alex Reid.
That's an absolute goal saver to put himself in that position, purely ball, never looked in doubt.
That's one of the tackles of the season, let's be honest. That was superb.
Technically, this is as strong as it gets from a tackling point of view, and that's why he's playing in the position that he's at.
That's just simply superb. Here's Goodchild. Again. It's free. Cuts it across the face of goal. Ferguson. It may fall for Smith here. Just come out of nowhere, this chance for Charlestown. Miners now. 45 degrees on the left here. Matt Tull got clipped by Chris Fayers. Wins the free kick.
But good to see Reece Thompson joining us today. He took part in the Hamilton Missouri.
Can Reece write in the comment section how his wrist is, because he broke his wrist last week in the FFA Cup match, their win, Hamilton Missouri's win over Jesmond, as we see Tom Smart down the left across the face, and it falls for Callan Lewis. He was in sparkling goal-scoring touch last year, and Glenn Peterkin, he was going to point to the spot. He had to point to the spot there. You just thought he was going to stretch out that right arm, and he decided at the last minute against it. It's Danny Ireland. Have another quick look at that. Gee, it's a 50-50, isn't it, that one?
Well, he went for it.
From the angle that we've got.
He went for it, and then he pulled out, and very difficult to see from here. But
here is Scott Smith. Maybe they could have a goal anyway. Reid, oh, it got a little bit nerve-wracking there for Alex Reid. Here is Swan. And it's back with the Blues. Smith. And Alex Reid this time. More composed on the ball. Matt Tull gets chopped by Josh Dutton Black this time. Gee, he's been fouled a lot as Matt Tull this afternoon, as Glenn Peterkin is coming over to have a little chat.
Well, we're joined by Alex Butt, and Alex is saying...
So, yeah, Reece Thompson's just confirmed that his sorry, CT, his wrist is broken.
I was going to get to that one. But Alex Butt was saying regarding Comerford. Now, Matthew Comerford came on last week and scored 2, so you'd have to be thinking he's in plan.
Scored once.
One, was it?
Comerford. McNaughton just chips it towards Matt Troll. I did double-check that because there was a goal which could have potentially been an own goal, and I checked where it was awarded on the northern site, and it was given to Alex Reid. So,
well, I'm saying 2 because that's what Camo told me at halftime. He said, I scored 2 last week, I've got to get on.
Here is Faz. Well, he better go tell Northern New South Wales because on their side it's paid it to Alex Reid. Here is Thompson. Strong and used his body well to play it back to Faz, and now Dutton Black with open pastures, and Josh Dutton Black, he couldn't keep the ball down, and that one's gone into the car park.
Well, he had 2 options there, didn't he? He had the option to slide it straight through into Clark or strike on goal, and I don't mind the choice that he'd taken because in and around the box and you're going to get the opportunity to shoot. You need to do that. It's just unfortunate for him that he couldn't keep it over the top of it.
And Matt Comerford is stalking the touchline. He wants to get on.
As we speak, in time, Matthew Comerford is going to come on and score another 2 in accordance with what he was telling me at halftime.
So it's Dutton Black who makes way for Matt Comerford. He looked like a tiger who had been starved for a few weeks there on the touchline. He couldn't wait to get out there.
Yeah, that's right. But in fairness, he did say that he's had a bit of a slow start to his pre-season. So he'll get there very, very quickly, if not already.
Here's Goodchild. Well, that was a very difficult proposition that Kane Goodchild set himself there. About 4 players in front of him, and he tried to get through them all. Danny Ireland. Now to Tom Smart. Charlestown build it up from the back. Not on this occasion. Reid to Matt Thompson, who almost stood on the ball. I remember him standing on the ball back in 2016 in that semi-final against Edgeworth where he had to come off the ground. Stood on the ball, rolled his ankle. Had to leave the park in that semi-final defeat over 2 legs to the Eagles. Their only finals appearance since they were promoted in 2015. In the 3 years, they managed just the 1 berth in the finals. They'll be looking to make it 2 out of 4 years in the NPL this season. Matt Comerford, one man who has been at the Magpies throughout all of their NPL days, has been that man who was just about to get on the ball, Matt Thompson, but the free kick is going the way of Charlestown, and Matt Thompson not impressed with that decision as Matt Tull is brought to ground again, CT.
Yeah, it's been a real arm wrestle, as you mentioned earlier. And one man you want in that tussle is Matthew Comerford. And by the way, his parents have moved up just into the Queensland border. So this is a great avenue for them to keep, because I know they love to watch him play, and a great avenue for them to be able to do that. But, yeah, you want him in the mix when things are getting tough, because he will roll his sleeves up and usually comes out on top. The formation change from Maitland appears to be doing the job. And, I think the key for them now is to get a bit more possession, hold the ball a little bit longer, and then create some more opportunities, because, the more Matt Thompson gets on the ball, the better off they're going to be deep in the second half.
Here's Callan Lewis rolling it wide. McNaughton across the face. He's already scored 1 this afternoon. Goodchild. I thought there was a handball there. It was up near his chest. Goodchild tries to side down Thompson, but that's in back play because Ryan Clark has flowed forward. He's got Comerford in the middle. Matt Comerford was waiting there like an eagle, but Salini was there to stop the ball in its tracks.
Great ball from Fayez and terrific run from Clark. Good ball in delivery. I didn't mind it. A good choice given the angle that he had. And Charlestown back on the attack.
And Callan Lewis, he's got plenty of speed. Here's another contact Dave Tancheski has from his time at Lambton Jaffers. Callan Lewis, also at Magic as well. And the free kick goes again to Charlestown. You can sense the frustration from the Maitland fans in front of us, CT, as Matt Tull wins another free kick. I wish we had stats on this, because that's at least half a dozen.
Well, he's down again. Let's have a look at it.
It's a strong challenge between him and Fayez, and then Fayez returns. So Milicevic leaves it for McNaughton to curl it in. Goodchild! What a header from Kane Goodchild. It's taken 2 matches, but he's finally on the score sheet for the Blues again.
Well, the ball from McNaughton was exquisite, and there goes Goodchild again. He just keeps coming up with them time and time again. He knew exactly where it had to go. It's exactly where it went, and it puts his team exactly in front.
What a header, and there was absolutely nothing Matt Trott. We've got 2 real quality goalkeepers out there this afternoon. There was nothing Matt Trott could do about that.
Well, it just left him stranded when he's just slightly off his line as he was, and it gets put over his head and lobs into the top corner. Nothing he can do about it at all. And Goodchild, as I said, he knew perfectly where it was going to go.
We'll give them a plug. Engineering Fabrication Newcastle, putting the money towards Kane Goodchild sponsorship, so good on them. Supporting local football, and Maitland looking for the instant reply. Comerford slips over. It is a little slippery out there with the rain we've had during the week.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, it was a real big chance of not being on at all, and the work the club's done has just been fantastic, combined with the hot westerly winds and the day of yesterday and today.
Goodchild holding it up, and he spied the blonde hair of Callan Lewis out to the right. Just couldn't find him though. Here's Fayez. So again, Maitland, they'll have to come from behind if they are to claim a point or 3 this afternoon. I remind you, Charlestown looking to beat Maitland for the first time since 2011. Last week they won their first match of the season for the first time since 2014. They haven't won their first 2 matches of the season since 2012. As this one curled in, Matt Tull was there, and Swan just nipped in with a boot. Ferguson to Tull, back to Ferguson, and now this is the dangerous left foot of Reen Ferguson. Grant Brown, and now Smart along the turf. Thompson to James Thompson now. Got a little bump from Tom Smart. It gave him the momentum to charge down the park. Very open this match currently. Tull dives in, but only deflects the ball to Ryan Clark, who pulls the trigger on his right boot. And had some power, not the accuracy that Ryan Clark would have liked. And CT, Charlestown might be up by 2-1, but to be honest, both sides you can see getting something out of this match this afternoon. It's been that even. I think currently, if the match was going to finish here, a fair result would be a draw.
Well, if it stopped at this point, but we've got a long way to go. We've still got 20 minutes, and you know how quickly games can change, and a goal, and then a momentum swing is all it takes, and all of a sudden Maitland are back in and on top. So Maitland are no way out of this game by any stretch, and there's a long way to go. And as Tancheski said at half-time to his boys, keep Matt Thompson under lock and key and we'll go a long way to winning this, but their problem is doing exactly that.
Comerford finds Liam Thornton. Nice diagonal ball to Chris Fayez, who looks to play it forward. The frustration evident from Maitland again there. Danny Ireland into that breeze, still gets about 50 metres, 50, 60 metres on it. Now Matt Trott, just put under a little bit of pressure by Goodchild. would be buoyed by that goal, as we see that ball almost clean up a spectator on the far side, CT. McNaughton, I will come back to what we saw last year, is Ferguson. Again, he gets it on that favoured left boot. And at the near post, waiting again for a chance, was Scott Smith.
Just want to touch quickly on that FFA Cup game, Jesmond and Hamilton Missouri last week. Really grassroots football there, but entertaining. But didn't have the opportunity to be there, but I watched and listened to it whilst I was away last Sunday, and it was very entertaining. And this is what the FFA Cup's all about.
And we're looking to get out and do some FFA Cup matches this year, so it's great fun. And if you want your side covered, well, we're only going to cover one match a round, depending on when the matches are on. But let us know. Just pass us a message, get in contact, and we'll see if we can get out and cover the match, because the draw has been done for round number 3 of the Southern Pool in Northern New South Wales, and that's the pool where the Northern League 1 sides come in, and then round 4 the NPL sides will be back in it. And we can't wait for another year of NPL action. We had a cracking time last year.
And then do that. Contact, Smudge, myself, or Bart in whatever way possible, or even through Bar TV. You can make comments, etc. Because we're keen to do it, and it's exciting, isn't it? And we know it's really good for the clubs to have that sort of entertainment available for their families, and it's things that they can keep in the future as well, Bart.
And the FFA Cup posted the threes. Here's a chance for Matt Comerford. I'll come back to that in a sec. He scuffs his shot. It falls for Ryan Clark, looking for a double. Here's Swan. Danny Ireland with a no-look save. He knew nothing about that. That was all reflex from Danny Ireland.
Oh, look, if you're going to have an opportunity to score, that's certainly it. Maitland had every opportunity there. Just Ireland, he knew nothing about it.
He doesn't score too many, Matt Swan. And he almost had the equaliser there, and probably should have if he put it a metre either side of Danny Ireland. But yeah, the FFA Cup, they put up the 3 best goals of the recent action, and I'll tell you what, Hamilton Missouri's goal, that was up there with one of the best in terms of the build-up play. It was simply superb. Here is another man who is superb. Scott Smith scored a double last week against Hamilton Olympic, and looking to score again this week. He's Charlestown's all-time leading goal scorer. I believe the man, he took the mantle off, Wayne Bailey, CT. Do you know Wayne Bailey? He was on the bench. He was on the bench for Hamilton Missouri last week, 53 years young, and he was on the bench. He didn't come onto the park, which was probably a good thing, because it was about 45 degrees out there. But yeah, he was the leading scorer here at Charlestown before Scott Smith took over the mantle a couple of years ago. Here's Swan across the face. It's up for Clark. And well blocked by McNaughton, who put his body on the line. And now Smart and Thompson shoulder to shoulder. Thought that was fair. Now Ren Ferguson.
Yeah, he was a tower of strength, Wayne Bailey, and a wonderful player, good finisher, and very, very strong on the ball, and he just all the package.
What a turn there from Matt Thompson. If they score out of this, it will be impressive to look back at. And Milicevic plays it to Danny Ireland. But what about the turn there, CT? That was just all class from Matt Thompson.
Absolutely, and he backheeled intentionally for Comerford, that I think just picked that up half a second late, and it's the only reason he wasn't onto it. Matt Thompson knew exactly what he was doing.
Carl Thornton, Grant Brown, you just can see Maitland scoring a second. There's so many chances that they have to score another one. It's Glenn Peterkin. He's going over to the touchline, and we're going to see another change here for the Blues. And it looks as though it will be their Japanese import, Masaya Sakamoto. Where's he from, CT? You've got the bio on him, haven't you? Chatted to him before the game.
Well, I know 2 sentences of Japanese. I used both of them, and he was looking at me like, you're a weirdo. I think he said Fukuoka.
So from Fukuoka in Japan.
I did have it down pat early in the game, but I should have written it down. I didn't, but...
Yes, I wrote it down, CT, so don't worry about that. Fukuoka.
You're our stats man, so it is Fukuoka.
In Japan, and we've had a few imports. Because we've had Kigo Moriasu at Edgeworth in previous years. Had a couple of Koreans played at South Cardiff back in 2015. So fantastic to see Sakamoto over here. He'll be looking to make an impact for Charlestown in the final minutes.
It will be very interesting to see how he goes. You can see by his run, he's very strong in the lower part of his body. Probably got a good centre of gravity as well.
Now, one thing no one has noticed in the last week has been the... we all noticed the comeback from Maitland last week. 2 goals in the last 5 minutes. But we need to put 2 and 2 together and remember that Michael Balch last year at Hamilton Olympic had a string of about 5 or 6 matches where Hamilton scored late goals to win matches or draw matches.
Correct.
Same thing happened in round 1. There's just something about Michael Balch coach sides and a final 15-minute frenzy. We are in the final 15 now. Can Maitland produce something as Alex Reid tries to rugby tackle Callan Lewis off the ball there?
Well, if Michael Balch was in the ground, which he's not, but if he was, he'd be hoping for that type of late result. And a free kick there from Reid is not the way that that's going to happen.
And I could just see Graham Law is watching this afternoon right now, and he'll be pleased to know Callan Lewis is out there. Former Cooker himself.
Yeah, Graham Law is in for another big year with Cooks Hill. They obviously dominated last year, but they'll be looking to do it the same again this year.
Yeah, 4-0 win in the grand final. That was superb from Cooks Hill. It really was.
Very dangerous position here for Maitland. They got to get this ball away.
So McNaughton along the turf. Smith and Trott is unable to keep it out. And Scott Smith scores his 3rd of the season and the 3rd this afternoon for the Blues, and they're out by 2.
Well, dangerous it is, and dangerous now has become 3-1 scoreline, and you've got to be thinking this is a tough way home from Maitland. Look, a position in that part of the park. A lot of people will lift it and put it into the air for a header, but the smart ball came in low and hard looking for a deflection. That's exactly what happened. And Tanchevsky will absolutely be delighted with that outcome.
What a return he has made to Charlestown this season. We saw that Lambton, they were out by this margin last week against Edgeworth, so the match is by no way or shape gone from Maitland's perspective. They've had enough chances. That is what Darryl McAllister and the Maitland coaching staff will rue at the end of this match.
Yeah,
and Michael Balch, who of course is, I'm certain, watching on Bar TV somewhere.
Oh, somewhere. I'm sure it's not in his car, but he's probably at his home somewhere. But that replay, he would not be happy with that, and he'd be in a discussion with his troops about that at training or after the game.
Here is Milicevic chipping forward. And Kane Goodchild, he's got a lot on that. But Callan Lewis brought that down very nicely. And then is able to move forward. Liam Thornton is blocking the run for the moment. McNaughton, well, that would have sealed it if Goodchild could have got on the end of that and made it 4-1. Here's Lewis again. Scott Smith chipping over the top for Goodchild, who's looking for a double, and Alex Reid is able to thwart the Golden Boot winner of the last 2 years for the moment. Being outdone by Scott Smith so far this year. So here is the corner. Miners slipping over as he tried to curl that one into the box. Here's Matt Thompson dropping deep to pick up the ball. Grant Brown up the line for James Thompson. Goodchild Gets away from Matt Thompson. Now Miners trying to reel that one in. He couldn't do so. Chris Fayers into Swan. Desperation from the Magpies. Still with Fayers as Miners came across. Comerford curls it towards Thompson, who will win the ball back here for Maitland. Is there a chance for Clark? Nice turn, but probably had more time than he thought. And here is the Japanese import, Sakamoto. Just looping one over the top. That was easily read by Carl Thornton. And now Reed steps on the ball, and it gives a chance for Goodchild to go charging down the middle of the park. It falls back for Smith. Cross to Goodchild. Will this sail it for Charlestown? Goodchild goes back to Callan Lewis, and Matt Thompson. He's been everywhere this afternoon. He's there again.
Well, Smudge was here. He'd be talking about the Harry Schnitzel Player of the Day and the Man of the Match. Got a few contenders for the Man of the Match. Goodchild is he's featured again. I mean, he always seems to feature because, goal scorers do that. But just the way he's held the ball up, he's had balls rolled into him, particularly in the first half where he's been strong. His ability to get his other players in, and then the goal that he scored there, it's out of the top draw, and it's just been a menace for Maitland the whole game. There's been some other good players out in the park, of course. And I like the way that Clark's gone about his game today. Carl Thornton, in particular, has been strong at the back.
He's been good, Carl Thornton, as he always is. He's Liam Thornton, his brother.
Matt Thompson's been good also, but he just hasn't had that much opportunity to play at the ball.
Comerford, he bulleted the pass to Swan, who distributes it wide to Brown. And Danny Ireland, he'll take those all day. Where's the route back into this one for Maitland, if there is one, CT? Where do you see it coming through?
Well, given that we've probably got about 10 left, I believe. They'd want to get one soon. I mean, the way through is that they seemingly are playing a lot more through centrally of the park than what they are wide. So if that's the route they're going to go, that's probably where it's going to come from. These balls that have been delivered into the box, we haven't really seen anyone on the end of them. So, for them, they've got to get people on the balls, in the top end of the park, which they've kind of been lacking a little bit. Comerford's been there, but he's slipped a couple of times at crucial points. But they do want a goal early, but...
So with the final 10 minutes... With the final 10 minutes now upon us, I will remind you that next week the match of the round is going to be a cracker. It is Broadmeadow Magic up against Edgeworth Eagles next Sunday afternoon, 2:30 p.m, Easter Sunday, CT. Go and watch the NPL game and then walk across to watch the Jets play Melbourne City at 5 p.m. at McDonald Jones Stadium. It should be a great afternoon of football next week. And it's 2-1, Lambton leading Magic now in that match at Magic Park. I'll try and grab you the scores of the other games as well. Western were leading 1-0 against Lake Macquarie. They now lead that one 2-1. So they look for just their second win in the last year. It's Callan Lewis. Look at this run from Callan Lewis. Goodchild now sits up. It may sit up for Kane Goodchild again. Looking for a brace in his first match back at home in Charlestown colours. This one off the back of Grant Brown, and it will fade over for a corner kick.
While you're looking at that, but Goodchild has just got every intention to score on every opportunity. You can just see in his movement, full-blooded strike, and then just the speed and explosion to get after the ball. To have a sneaky look if you get it past Trott, that wasn't on, and then fortunately for him over the crossbar. But that's what he's all about. Very opportunistic sort of player, and hold the ball, hold players off, very strong, and then get the other players into the game.
So we see Scott Smith scored this afternoon. He's going to leave the park, and he will be replaced by former Broadmeadow Magic midfielder Daniel Casaroli. He's in his second year at Charlestown City Blues as Miners curls it in.
Casaroli traditionally plays a holding type midfield role. We'll see where he settles into this last 10 minutes.
And now Swan breaks forward. They really need to make this one count, Maitland. Ryan Clark's touch is way too heavy. He's frustrated with that, Ryan Clark.
When you're travelling at that speed and the ball's at that speed, all you've got to do is just half touch it. You've got to take the pace off it, and that one just got away from you, and it's very difficult when there's that much adrenaline. You can see ball and you can see goals. It's a difficult thing to do.
Callan Lewis now. I'd say, CT, that's been the difference between the two sides this afternoon. The polish in front of goal. You see the likes of Kane Goodchild and Scott Smith have been clinical. And for Maitland, just haven't been as clinical with Ryan Clark, James Thompson. They've both had a couple of chances. Matt Comerford as well. Just haven't been able to finish them off. They've probably had just as many chances, just not that polish.
Every club loves goal scorers, and Smith and Goodchild have proved it over years. They do that.
Here is McNaughton. And Carl Thornton is there.
If they're not on the score sheet, they're getting other people on the score sheet, and that's why they're so dangerous.
That is the thing. You just know every season they're going to be there and thereabouts. Kane Goodchild and Scott Smith. They're going to be around that 10, 15 goal mark, as we've seen the last couple of years. Smith last year with 9, Goodchild with 14. Casaroli now to Callan Lewis.
Casaroli probably considering himself unlucky not to start, because there wouldn't be many teams he'd miss a start out.
It's a strong roster, isn't it?
It is, and he'll work himself into the first starting lineup at some point, no doubt.
Carl Thornton wide to Grant Brown. Steps infield away from Sakamoto. Now Brown to Thompson. There was just more energy from Tommy Smart there in the end, and free kick has been given away of Maitland.
It looked like it did Smart as well, and he wouldn't show it, Tom.
McNaughton. Round of applause, CT. Well done. Faz to Swan. Now Matt Thompson back to Alex Reid.
But any thoughts on Player of the Day? Harry Schnitzel, Player of the Day?
Gee, when Smudge is here, it's normally fairly easy because he comes up with something good, but trying to think of something that's been really something that would stand out as the Player of the Day. Alex Reid's tackle on Kane Goodchild, that really stands out to me. That was superb, that tackle, because Goodchild was off and away. I know in the end it's probably not going to amount to much, but it was still a great tackle nonetheless.
Absolutely it is, and we had the Charlestown under-9s here as well. We had about 8 of them here. I'm not sure how they'd share that one schnitty amongst the whole team.
A little bit each.
Half a nibble each.
They're only little fellas, so fill them up. Here's Faz trying to lay it off to Swan. And now Thompson rises. Sakamoto up and over the top. Callan Lewis. He's got speed to burn. Here is Sakamoto just losing his footing. Very short in stature, that Japanese import for the Blues. Be interesting to see how he develops this year, as we see Maitland are about to make another change, which will be their final change. It's James Tassel, the defender, coming on for Liam Thornton. And it will be Tassel to get play back underway with the throw. Clark burst onto the scene during the FFA Cup last year, James Tassel. Very hard-working defender. Daniel Miners, up he rises, and Matt Tull, he knows at the moment it's just route one. Let's get it down the other end of the park with the 3-1 advantage, as Charlestown look to end the 6 years between victories against Maitland. It's been a while for them. 2011 the last win. 6.5 years almost now. There's McNaughton. Across the ground to Sakamoto.
Good to see Taylor Regan has joined us. And former Charlestown Cities Blue player. Big game.
Playing at Adelaide this season as Milicevic gets a boot in.
Good to see him back in the starting lineup.
Unfortunately, Adelaide did beat the Jets the other night, but we won't hold that against him as James Thompson again in the wars.
But it should be pointed out, Regan had another fantastic game. He'd be ecstatic with being back in that starting lineup.
There's cramps starting to take effect now. It is a heavy pitch, as we mentioned, underfoot, and Tommy Smart may even be higher up here, maybe a hip flexor issue. And so while we do have a moment, I will just say I'm actually reading Simon Hill's book at the moment, just getting into it, and I'm 2 chapters in, and gee, it is a fascinating read, CT. As you know, Simon Hill, of course, the voice of the A-League in Australia. Gee, if you haven't got it, fascinating read. And he's a great bloke too. So
okay, no doubt. And can you be more specific? What's fascinating you about his book?
Well, I don't want to give it all away, see. I don't want to give it all away because if I give it away, then you won't buy it, will you? Maybe I can let you borrow it.
Okay, no problem.
It's a great read, really good read.
Might quite possibly be standing next to the next one of him. Watch that one unfold.
There's Danny Ireland just piloting one down the middle of the park. Thornton to Thompson.
I just had a message from Graham Law that it's 2-2 at Magic with Lambton.
Can you believe it? Lambton, they're meant to be dominating that match in the first half, and Magic have equalised late. They never say die, as Ruben Zadkovic did throughout his career. Sakamoto. The match just fading towards its end here. Can Charlestown put a late exclamation mark on this match? Just in the early phases of stoppage time. So that's huge for Broadmeadow Magic, 2-2. And again, it's another late goal, or late couple of goals conceded there by Lambton. As they did last week, they got out of jail free with a late goal to Ben Hay. There is Tull. Tassel. Now Matt Thompson looks forward for Alex Reid, who's been pushed up high now. Decision's been made to push men forward here for Maitland. They've gone to 3 at the back now, chasing the game. Which is good to see, down by 3-1. And it looks as though that wait for 2 consecutive wins to start a season will go on. As Comerford spies another opening, weaves his way through, and then he hits it, and Danny Ireland will just let that one fade by the near post.
Now, Smudge is on the annual leave, as we were talking about before. We normally discuss man of the match and also the Schnitzel player of the day, but you're comfortable with the decision player of the day for Alex Reid with that probably season up for a season tackle of the year.
I am comfortable with that, CT.
And I think the inclusion of Smith and Goodchild back into this Charlestown side has really been very prominent for them, and it's going to be that way for them for the year. And Goodchild certainly in that mode for a player of the match.
So it's the Blues who make it 2 from 2 to start the season for the first time since 2012. And finally they defeat Maitland after 6 fruitless years against the Magpies. And for Michael Bolcher's side, they taste defeat for the first time in 2018. And they will quickly have to get back on the horse. They face a quick turnaround to their Good Friday clash with Adamstown, while the Blues, they also play next Friday against Lake Macquarie. So full time here this afternoon from Lylecar Oval at Charlestown. It's the Charlestown City Blues 3, Maitland Magpies 1. And we will grab the man of the match, Kane Goodchild, and Alex Reid for our Harry Schnitzel play of the day. Just a second, Chris Turner's been sent down to grab those two boys, and while we are doing that, I'll have a quick scan of those other results as they stand currently in the NPL Northern New South Wales. As we mentioned, Lambton Jaffers, they led Broadmeadow Magic 2-0 midway through the second half, and it's still 2-2. It's deep in stoppage time in that one. Just having a look at my phone, and Broadmeadow Magic pushing forward at the moment, so potentially a chance for them to snatch all 3 points. Try not to run through and commentate it, but James Virgili with a decent opportunity there, just brought down outside the box. And in the match at Valentine at Crowders Bay, the Jets leading the Phoenix by 2-1. That's just into stoppage time in that particular match. And the final match this afternoon, the question is, that one has just ended. Western up against Lake Macquarie. The Bears looking to finally get another victory. And I will just confirm, as CT's got Kane Goodchild, I will confirm Western have won just their second match in a year. They beat Lake Macquarie 2-1. I'll hand over to you, CT.
Well, we're with Kane Goodchild from Charlestown City Blues. Mate, this is a big game for you personally, back into the Charlestown Strip. It's a big game and you're a big game player. By the way, you're the Sports Click man of the match. Congratulations. The goal that you put away there at the end, and apart from that, how did you see the rest of the game, and why was Charlestown successful today?
Look, lots been said about our pre-season, but at the end of the day we've got 11 good quality first grade footballs. We've simplified what we're doing, and we're doing it basically, and we're doing it well enough that's hard to break down and creating opportunities for Smith up front. Today the boys lifted again. You can hear them in there now. Everyone's thriving off, everyone's motivated, we're enthusiastic, and we're just going to be that week in, week out.
Yeah, and having Tanchevsky back at the helm, obviously you know him well. What we were really impressed about, the balls, particularly in the first half, the balls that were being played through the lines or to the feet of yourself and Smith, it just seemed to be something that really worked and was comfortable for you guys.
Yeah, like I said, 11 first grade footballers that know how to play pretty simple football. We're not trying to overcomplicate it. We don't care about the possession statistics. We just want to win. Playing forward to your strengths. We've got 2 big strikers up front, and those early balls are clinical in turning the other team around and putting us on the front foot. So that's what we're trying to do, and so far we're reaping the rewards. Yeah,
fantastic. We'll let you get back in there. Congratulations on being Sports Click man of the match. Cheers, Goody. Thank you. Go and enjoy it. We've also got Alex Reid here. Reedy, unfortunate for you guys today. You would have been expecting a bit more out of the game today.
Yeah, definitely. The heat obviously plays a little bit of a part, but still 3-1 here. We probably should have done a little bit better. A little bit more clinical maybe in the front third, and then defensively we probably could have done a little bit better, but you know, that's the way it goes.
You played with a 5 at the back, 2 in the middle of the park and 3 up front. Do you see something that's likely to happen again next week, or what will Welch do, or how do you feel that panned out for you today?
Well, it worked for a little period of time, but those decisions there, they get put up to Bolchi, mate. I don't. He rings me and he tells me what to do, and then that's about it, really.
Yeah, of course, and you follow instruction. Look, what we've got you here for is the Harry Schnitzel play of the day. There was a tackle down just outside the edge of the box that you made, and we quickly pointed out, if you don't make that tackle, it's a goal. We thought that's probably one of the tackles of the year, so congratulations to the Harry Schnitzel. Go and see Harry. You'll enjoy the Schnitzel, and mate, keep up the good work, and I'm sure Maitland will be bigger and stronger as each week goes on.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks boys. Thanks, Harry Schnitzel.
Right, cheers. Thanks, Reedy.
All right, CT, I might get the headphones off so I can actually have a chat to you as we wrap it up this afternoon. But the score's just in, so Broadmeadow Magic have drawn with Lambton. Josh Piddington equalised in the last minute, so that one finished 2-2. The Jets beat Valentine 2-1, and Western beat Lake Macquarie by the same margin. So a big afternoon for football. A couple of different results than what we saw last year, with Western getting a win and also the Jets youth.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, just drawing on this particular game here, we see the quality of games throughout the years, what we've seen here today, football fans across the Hunter are going to really enjoy this because the standard is high. Tactically, coaches are really having to pull things apart, and being able to watch the games now is a really good tool for that to happen. So, look, I'm enjoying the fact that the competition's got some really good quality players, ex-A-League players in there, ex-Australian players in, and the whole feel about it is a very good one. So the results, are surprising, but they're kind of not in the same fashion.
Well, a big week ahead next week. There's 3 matches on Good Friday. We will be at the match between Hamilton and Valentine on Friday. I'm not sure if you'll be there, CT, but I will be there with... You'll be there? I'll be there. Smudge will be there as well. And then on Sunday, I can't wait for this one, Broadmeadow Magic up against Edgeworth Eagles. I can't pick it at the moment. Edgeworth have got the week off this week, and they'll be looking to get back into some form after that round 1 last-minute defeat to the Jaffers. Yeah, it's interesting, Broadmeadow, the message we got with Lambton were all over them, so whether that was actually the case, probably they were. Then to come back to 2-2, it might have been just a clip that they needed to think, all right, now we need to get ourselves into gear, and it might set them up well for next week. It's really interesting, and it's hard to pick them apart. Well, we are looking forward to next week, and I hope you guys all have a great Easter. But before Easter, we've still got an NPL show to do, and that's going to come out Thursday night at 7 p.m. There's something interesting, I'm sure, that's going to happen. I think Smudge's Challenge is back again for another week, CT. That could be interesting. Yeah, it's always interesting. Go the Vegemite Sanger. All right, well, we will catch you during the week. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. It finished here at Lyle Car Oval. The home side, Charlestown City Blues, beating Maitland for the first time in 6 matches by 3 goals to 1.